So Bruno Fallon, prior to Born Primitive, he did 40 plus years in our military. Started as a Ranger, then he became a Green Beret, and that wasn't good enough. So then he joined the 160th, which, for those of you who don't know, is basically our most elite aviation unit on the planet. And then his last 11 years was a part of a Tier 1 unit. So he has been there, done that, an incredible record of service to his country. And we brought him in to stand up Born Primitive Tactical, which is something that I wanted to do when I was in, didn't have the bandwidth. I saw the opportunity and the need for the end user to get good tactical product. And of course, our brothers in law enforcement as well. And obviously Bruno, with his background in this, came in and was able to hit the ground running and absolutely exceed expectations. And this is a portion of our company that's absolutely exploding right now and presents a lot of opportunity. So we thought we would hone in on that a little bit. But first, Bruno, I want to bring you in and I guess give us a quick rundown on you and your background.
First of all, it's good to be here. You know, the running joke after being in the community for 40 years was the first time I met you guys. I really didn't know that you guys were looking at me for an opportunity. I thought I was just meeting some good guys. And, you know, we had another individual, Max, Tony's brother, in the room. And I walked out and I said, I think this is a job interview. And I went home and my wife was like, so after 40 years, you're going to sell apparel. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I can do that. And then I thought about it, and I thought about the crew here, and I thought about the opportunity. And the way it presented itself, it became a challenge to me, and I wanted to jump on it. So it was extremely hard leaving that community. It's everything I've ever known. The last organization I was in, you know, very well funded, very well run. I love the mission. So it was stepping out of my comfort zone and coming here. It's probably been the best decision I've made because it's a new challenge. I love it, and I'm staying and providing something to the community that is void. Apparel has been a big problem in the community for years, and I think we're nailing it here. And based on who's running it and where it's going right now, I'd say we hit it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I love doing it. I still have guys calling me every day, though, and they're like, no, what are you really doing? You're not selling clothes. They think it's a cover story.
Yeah. Well, it would be a great cover story.
Oh, my God.
Maybe it is a cover story.
Yeah,
I don't know. You listeners, you never know. And what's cool, and I experienced this, but, you know, when you transition out of, you know, special operations community, there is that void, and you're never going to replicate that dynamic. But, you know, you more so than me, but still me a little bit, like we're still around it enough that we kind of get the best of both worlds. You literally just came from the range. You were with guys from a Tier 1 unit helping to train our local law enforcement here in Virginia Beach, right? So
yeah,
you just had a shooting belt on 30 minutes ago. And so we're not that far removed from, you know, the old life, but, you know, so it's if there's any way to transition, I think you did it right.
No, and that's a fact. I mean, the fact that I got to go to Normandy and, you know, jump into D-Day to represent this company with a very elite group of, you know, former operators, and some of the content shoots we do where I actually feel like I'm back in the seat on a mission. It is not a normal apparel job, but I think that's the testament of why we are where we are in the apparel business and tactical. Nobody else has employees like we do that's actually done the mission. Nobody else takes it in the real environment and puts it through the grind like we do. And nobody else puts their name on it. They came from the community and stands by it and believes in it so much. So I think that's the difference maker right there.
Yeah, I think just on that point, and this kind of frames up, I think, all of BP tactical in general, that I think is the real differentiator, is the way we've approached developing the product. And it's almost like, it's hilarious because I got to admit, I wouldn't have taken it as far as you did, right? Like with apparel. So for example, like we're developing a tactical boot right now. And Bruno was in the ocean last week and swam a mile with fins on over the boot to make sure that it would hold up in the maritime domain, right? And he went over the beach, and we have the water, the water holes in the inside, so it drains out to make sure that works, and there's not getting sand jammed in there. And then we had guys jumping it. We are going to arrange to do real life fast ropes with it because we want to make sure you can do a 50-foot fast rope and it's not going to burn through the fast roping pad. And we're on version 9 or 10 right now. And that's just the shoes. We did the same thing with the op camis. And these are little details. Like, let's say a guy goes in free fall and the zipper slowly opens as he, gets down to pull altitude. They'd say, hey, that that zipper needs a little zipper garage on the end so that doesn't happen, right? That's a little detail that no one would have caught had we not actually, all right, we have to jump this whole kit. And that's what I think what I'm most proud of is when it finally gets on the guys, the likelihood we've missed something is very low because we've actually went through all of the different kind of scenarios and even sent it to different continents with other special operations units to validate it. You know what I mean? So desert, winter, one good example is winter with the knee pads, right? We never thought a knee pad would freeze and crack. But since we were sending it to guys that were in an Arctic environment, we were able to learn that, okay, this foam, when it's -15, cracks. Okay, get a new foam, right?
That's
so
right.
I don't think the big companies we compete against are, I mean, there's no way they're doing that level of T&E. And then just to get it validated by the guys from the fit and pocket placement, even like, hey, this cargo pocket, it's not quite big enough to hold a door popper, right? Can you make the cargo pocket a 1/2 inch wider so we can fit our charges in that? You know what I mean? That's a level of detail that, the big dogs, one, they don't have access to, and two, I don't think they care as much about, but those are critical details for the end user so it's been cool. You have championed that culture. Again, I think I would have sent it out to the boys and, hey, what do you guys think? But you took it to a whole nother level. And when you get the product right, as we know, everything else takes care of itself with that viral component of the product. And you've done a hell of a job creating that.
No, I appreciate it. And you're the same way I am. I'm putting my name on this product. Everybody knows I'm here. Everybody knows that we're behind it. And for it to go out the door, the big thing in the regular apparel industry is, you tear the ass out of a pair of pants walking through the mall. It's one thing. You tear it out after doing a 25,000-foot night free fall jump on another content on a real world mission. And that the same carries over to our outdoor products. These guys go out on an extreme backpack hunt. They don't have the ability to pack extra clothing with the weight and the load and the terrain they're going through. So we've got to get it right. And from what I've seen, in the time I've been here, we're at the 98% mark on getting it right, and we own anything we don't get right. And we'll do that. That's because we're putting our name on it. If you don't do the T&E, though, if you don't grind the product, you'll never know. And that's you mentioned the boot that we're working on. It looks great. It seems to function great, but we keep finding these little things. So yeah, we're on version 9. And before we put our name on it, it may be version 11. But when it hits the guys are going to recognize the detail and the features and the durability. And that's all that counts.
Bruno, I'd love to rewind a little bit to your start here and your transition out of your former job. What would you say was easy, and what would you say was the biggest challenge of filling into what has to be just a complete new landscape, both from the actual structure of the business, but then the personnel too? You're working with different people, there's different objectives. So as you reflect on having been here now for about 1.5 years, what was easy and what maybe continues to be something you have to reflect and kind of work on to integrate into a different culture?
The first one is real easy. The military, especially the special operations in the Tier 1 community, is very structured. We operate fundamentally on standard operating procedures. There's things I don't even need to look at a guy for how his kit's packed, how he's going to move, what he's going to do, how he's going to fly, whatever. You get out into this space and everybody's kind of operating on their own plan, but following the boss's guidance. And that's very hard for me to adapt to, but obviously I am. I do see though that because the company, the CEO of the company has that military soft background, the unique thing about Born Primitive is it has some of those basic tenets in the way it's fundamentally run. And that helps me. And I honestly think it helps the business. And I think that's another reason why we're outperforming the space. We get it. People understand, I call it commander's intent. He gives commander's intent. I know what he wants. I know where the painted lines are. And I know that as a director, if I stay in the painted lines, I can freewheel wherever I want to reach the end state. I would say my biggest fear in coming into the private sector, honestly, just me being the person I am, was the whole HR side of it. Am I going to be too rough on people? Am I going to be too direct on people? Am I going to hurt feelings? Again, the culture here, the employees here, there's a lot of ex-military, a lot of ex-law enforcement. There's a lot of military spouses. There's a lot of athletes here. it seems to me like the majority of the people that work here have been through a grind of some sort where leadership is, a valuable piece of it in being a good leader or follower. Again, a reason why this company performs the way it does. I'm still learning, coming into the apparel business, especially at the director's level. And one of the things that's fostered here is the leadership invites you to, I think it's leader development, invites you to meetings that are CEO level meetings that you don't need to be in, but it's for your upward development. And one of the great things about the military is you should be able to step into your boss's role at any time, because literally you could be that guy in the speed of a single round, right? So here we train that way and we learn that way, and we allow our people to grow. I still, when you talk the nuances of apparel and time and details and stuff, I'm still learning, and I will continue to learn. But we bring a lot of good people in underneath us and we empower them. I really see my role now, now that I understand enough. I'm really knee deep in the marketing side. I'm really knee deep in getting the brand outside of this building, which is a game I already knew. And that's something I can excel at. I've done that for years. I know how to go talk to people. But if you are in any business, I don't care where it is, the day you stop learning is probably the day you're no longer valuable to the company.
Yeah, the part I love about that is you've brought a sense, like, I've heard people talk about this, of like, and actually Max, when he introed you, said this, like, Bruno will will things into existence. And I've seen that while you're here. And I think it's been something that a lot of people here can learn from. And I think Bear's really good at it too. And I think if you're going to be at a high level, you have to be able to do this, where you have a vision. You've got to not only be able to take notes from other people, but then stay crystal clear on how you're getting there. And a lot of times there's going to be pivots within that, but you have an uncanny ability to like have a clear vision and then just literally make that happen. And that's something like very few people, because it takes not only the networking skill you have, but then it takes the everyday audacity just to show up and keep moving. Because a lot of times you don't know the right fucking answer, but as long as you keep iterating on testing things, you'll get there. And I think tactical is a perfect example of, like, I think, and I'm guilty of this at times, you can stagnate if you try to get too in the weeds on creating a perfect system from the jump, rather than just moving, creating action. Of course, certain things like products, don't move too fast on that. But as far as just getting out there, networking, putting yourself out there from a social standpoint, tactical has been a great example at Born Primitive of, like, just raw energy getting put into it and the benefits you have of moving fast on things.